Hello and welcome to Martial Arts Chat Podcast live here on Spreaker. Tonight we'll be looking ahead to Saturday's UFC. It takes place at the O2 in London, headlined by Werdum and Volkov. It should be a great night of fights, and if you want to hit the panel up during the live show with your questions and your comments, you can get in touch via facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat Podcast, or hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Martial Arts Chat. Before I introduce tonight's panel, first a shout out to our sponsors, A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear uses the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers. Local and national gyms in the UK, do yourselves a favour and check out a1fightgear.co.uk. And if you're wanting to get back into shape or continue to stay in shape, then you can go to beastgear.co.uk and use the coupon code MartialArtsChat. You'll save 15% off purchases, and they've got core sliders, strap and barbell pads and strength and conditioning programs, all to suit your needs there. So to tonight's panel, representing Fight Talk Scotland, always a pleasure to have him on, Mr. Don Wilson. Don, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, how are you?
I'm doing good, mate. It's good to have you back on.
That's nice.
Turning to the show also is G from the MMA Shower. G, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, good evening, John. Are you a happy man with the old firm outcome this evening?
Oh, I don't know if I can reveal my colours, but I probably have at some point in this show. So yeah, I'll say I'm a happy man. I'll say that.
That was a test for you, but yeah.
That's it, mate.
But good evening to Don and Matthew, the fellow panellists as well.
Hello.
Good to have you on, mate. And to Matthew Penny, Nature of MMA. Matthew, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having me back on. Looking forward to talking some MMA for, after a good weekend. I've just got after seeing Bama on Friday. So, looking forward to talking some.
Yeah, excellent stuff, mate. Gentlemen, let's get into to Saturday's card, and the UFC returns to our shores here in the UK, and there's a lot of UK talent on this one. Some predictions and thoughts, please, gentlemen, starting with, it was a wee bit of a late edition for this. Well, later, not too late. Stevie Ray and Cajun Johnson. Stevie Ray, he was kind of in limbo with the UFC negotiation contracts and all this sort of stuff going on. Seemed to be going on forever, several months anyway. But he's re-signed with the UFC now, and when I spoke with Stevie, he told me he was keen to make an immediate impact here. But I wonder just how important a victory is for either guy, really. Let's start with Don on this one. Don, give me your thoughts on this lightweight contest, and who do you see coming out as the victor, mate?
Yeah, so usually when I do these, you look over tape and you come up with what you want to say about both fighters and stuff. So I've not had a lot of time, but obviously checking this, watching Cajun Johnson, watching some of his recent fights almost put me to sleep trying to get the stuff here. He does more. The last two fights he's done more dancing than fighting in the octagon. I was like, oh come on, just do something. But don't get me wrong, he's had some exciting fights. Just recently he's been quite evasive, flings his hands up, dances about, tries not to get hit. It's not that exciting, but I think Stevie's going to be pumped to get back in there and bring it to Johnson. Whether he decides to throw his shapes and run battles, that's up to him. But I think to have a motivated Ray coming at him, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, he'll definitely be motivated.
Yeah, Johnson's probably going to want Ray to close the distance so he can grapple and work the fight to the ground against the cage. He seems to do that, but Stevie looks to be in great shape from seeing social media posts, and I feel like he's going to be too strong for Johnson in this fight. I think he's going to, even if the distance gets closed and what they've got to work against the cage, I think it will be a victory for Stevie Ray.
And they used to train together. I believe we were talking about this last night. Over at
TriStar.
Yeah. So I wonder how much that's going to play a factor, and if at all on this one. Matthew, what about yourself? What would you make of Johnson versus Ray? Who have you got in this contest, mate?
Well, as already been said, Cajun Johnson been pretty dull. But again, looking at Stevie Ray's record and watching some of his fights, a lot of his fights go to the decision as well. So all I can say, I don't know a lot about both of the guys, but looking at records and looking at what was his name, Cajun Johnson's last couple of fights, which were pretty dull, I can see it going the distance again, unless one of them steps up. I hope Stevie Ray does it. So I hope he steps up, because I'm quite a big fan of Bama, and I know he was a Bama champion, I think, in the past, Stevie Ray. So I hope he gets the job done. I hope it doesn't go to decision. Obviously we hope no fights go to decision. I hope we get an entertaining knockout or something like that. But looking at the records, I'd probably say it'll go the distance, hopefully, for Stevie Ray.
distance for you, mate. And finally, G, it's Canada versus Scotland in this one. Who are you picking in this lightweight contest?
Yeah, I know more about Stevie Ray, so I'm going to probably talk a bit more about Stevie Ray, but I've seen a couple of the sort of highlights of Johnson, or lowlights, whatever you want to call them. But Stevie Ray, he's got a bit of footwork. He's got something about him, sort of dancing about and closing distance and moving out again quickly. The fight that sticks out for me, for Stevie Ray, was when he beat Ross Pearson a couple of years ago. And Ross Pearson himself is a very slick boxer, especially close range. Mm-hmm. He can throw a 3-4 punch combination within half a second. And he won that via a split decision. And if Johnson thinks he's going to get hold of him and grapple him, Stevie Ray also beat Joe Luzon, who's one of the best grapplers in the UFC. And he did that by keeping distance and making impact where he could, and then getting out of danger. So I'm going to go with Stevie Ray. Probably agree with Matthew. I think it's going to be a decision, but I think it should be a relatively easy night for Stevie Ray if he doesn't get on the ground too much. So Stevie Ray for me.
Full house then. Stevie Ray all round. Let's stay with the prelims though. We've got the Bridgewater bomber himself, Mark Gorbier, and he's fresh off a lengthy training camp in Thailand. He's been out there with the likes of Alistair Overeem, and he looks really happy actually. He certainly looks ready, that's for sure. And he's going to need to be. He takes on a tough Russian and Dimitriev's Sosnovsky. Let's start with Matthew this time. Matthew, how do you see our own Mark the Handa Gorbier doing in this one, mate?
I see Godbeer getting a good win here, personally. I think Sosnovsky, his record is... I think he's undefeated, isn't he? But yes. It's not against UFC people, so it'll be good to see if he's going to stand up quite well. I think Mark Godbeer had a dodgy year, didn't he, last year? He had the DQ win against Walt Harris and the decision win. So hopefully this will be a standout year for him. Again, another ex-Bama guy. There seems to be quite a few fighting next week. So yeah, I really hope he gets to win. How low down? I hope he's in good shape, Godbeer. So hopefully he will get... let's throw a prediction on it. I will say a TKO win for Godbeer.
TKO win for the big man. I like to hear that. I hope that does go down. Don, what about yourself? Like Matthew was saying there, it wasn't a great end to 2017 for Mark. Obviously, he's looking to get back in the win column. Will he do it against Dimitri here, do you think, Don?
This is, even though he's good at undercard, this is one of the fights I'm actually looking forward to. Sosnovsky he's a big, strong and fast fighter. I think this could be a good scrap. He likes to get the fights to the mat and use his strength and speed on the ground. But Godbeer seems to have had a great camp and seems ready. As you say, he looks to be having fun. This is going to be, obviously with the record, I think it may be a tough fight, but sometimes when you see the Canadian European fighters and you see the record and you're like, who have they actually been fighting? Mm-hmm. It is hard to judge. But yeah, two reasons why I'm excited. It's like, I want to see he's making his debut, see how he goes, but also to see Godbeer coming off a good camp. So I think, don't sleep in this fight. I think that's could be a good one.
And finally, G, give me your thoughts on Sosnovsky versus Godbeer. How do you think this one will go down?
Yeah, so Dimitri Sosnovsky got a good record. It depends on who he's fought, but he's still 10 fights and 0 losses. But Godbeer's got a pretty good record of TKOs amongst his wins. I think he was a Bama champion a couple of years ago. So yeah, it's going to be a close one, but I can't see it going the distance. I'm going to go TKO Godbeer.
TKO Godbeer for you, mate. Good shout. Liking the impartial panel we've got tonight, but good. I like to hear it. And like I said, we've got a lot of top UK talent on this card. We've got likes of Danny Henry. We've got Brad Scott taking on Jack Marshman, England versus Wales contest there. That should be a really good fight as well. But a really important fight in the lightweight division, the light heavyweight division, is when Paul Berdew-Craig, he takes on the undefeated Magomov Anklov. Now, speaking to Paul this weekend, we talked about the tough year that he had in 2017, and he really needs to get the job done here against a very tough prospect. Don, I'll start with you on this one. Simply put it to you, can the Berdew get the job done here in London?
Well, you know how they always say, like, a loss can be good for a fighter. I hope this is true with Paul. I heard when Khalil Roundtree at the media day for UFC Glasgow, talking about how he went to the UFC training centre and learned a lot about what he was doing wrong in training and his diet and stuff. And I think what they said, he doubled his calories and stuff like that for when he was training. And he came into Glasgow looking like a different fighter. Paul looks as if he has been changing some things up. He looks as if he's been doing a lot more strength and conditioning. Because obviously fighting light heavyweight, there's a lot of big guys in that division. He's got the height. Mm-hmm. He's maybe not had the build for these guys, but he looks to be putting a lot of work into that. Mm-hmm. Looking at some of the tape on Magomed, I don't know how to take it. He's 9-0. I don't want to use the word padded, but some of his competition he's faced hasn't looked great. He does look to some aggressive striking and seems to move well on the ground, but I don't know much else on it. I'm going to go with Paul Craig, obviously, because just seeing the tape from Magomed, there isn't much there, but he's still, I think he's 9-0, so we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably quite right, mate. Gee, what about yourself? Paul, he's back up against the wall here. He really needs a victory more than anything. Do you think he can do it, mate?
Yeah, I think he's got a great nickname, Paul, hasn't he? Bear Jew? Or?
The Bear Jew.
Bear Jew. So it's, for that, he should get a few points for that. But yeah, he's got a good good record. The other guy's got a 9-0 again. You don't know exactly what the quality of opposition was, but you've still got to give some credit for having an O in your loss column after 9 fights. But I'm going to give it to Paul. He's got a very good record. I think he's probably faced a better class of opponent, and he's got some good sort of submissions as well. So I'm going to go for Paul on this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's good shout. G, it's like the fight with Khalil Roundtree, he was wanting to keep his distance because he was very wary of the striking. I think if Paul imposes his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, he can finish anyone. And if he gets that game going, play to your strengths. It's the old cliched saying, isn't it? Play to your strengths. But
yeah, absolutely.
That he gets the job done in my eyes if he gets that fantastic
he goes to ground
going. Absolutely. Yeah. Finally, Matthew, let's hear your thoughts. We've got Anklev versus Craig. Who are you going for on this one, mate?
Okay, well, I'll make it a hat trick. I don't really know a lot about the other guy, but I don't think any of us do. 9-0, but let's see how he is against UFC standard opponent. Obviously, Paul needs a good outing this time. A really tough year for him. But looking at his losses and watching them over last year, it was by knockout and TKO. But his one win in the UFC was by submission. Yeah. So just take it to the ground. What we've got to lose. He needs a win. So throw it up. He's good. We know he's good on the ground. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. To use it. His only win in the UFC was by submission. So why not stick at what has been successful for him? So I will go. I hope for him because again, another ex-Bama guy. So I'm rooting for him. So a submission win for Paul Craig for me. Fingers crossed.
Awesome stuff, guys. Let's get to the co-main event. We get Jimmy Manuwa is also looking to get back in the winning ways and back in possibly in the title picture with a victory here over Jan Blachowicz. It certainly helps his case if he does get the job done. Let's start with the panel. We'll start with G this time. G, the poster boy versus the prince in this one. Who have you got and why?
Yeah, so Jimmy, I think, blew it when he fought Volkan about a year ago. Was it about a year ago? And right. I think he was pretty odds on that if he beat Volkan, he would have been fighting Daniel Cormier instead of Volkan. But he made a mistake up against the cage. I think he got a couple of elbows as he was up against the cage, and Volkan did what he does best, just overpowered him with punches, and it was a TKO. And I've been reading a couple of things online. What Jimmy said was, he said, "Yeah, I made a mistake at the highest level, and you pay." But he's learnt a lot from it. He's gone back to the drawing board, and he reckons he's learnt. And if he beats on Saturday night, if he wins on Saturday night, I think he's given two scenarios. Either he fights Glover Teixeira because he's a couple of places higher than him, or hopefully he might get a shot at Daniel Cormier. So I think Jimmy's got to win this one, and he puts himself right back in contention for the title. How he'll do it, well, you don't have to be a genius to work it out with Jimmy's record. I don't think he's gone past 2 rounds when he's won. I think it's going to be a KO from the poster boy.
KO for Jimmy. Good for you, mate. Matthew, what about you, sir? Does Manuel return in winning ways here in this co-main event for you?
I think so. Manuel dominated Blachowicz 3 years ago, and this is the rematch that I don't think anyone really wanted or needed. To be honest, I think Manuel called out to Shearer, and that'd have been great to see. I'm not sure what went wrong there, but we've got this matchup. Manuel isn't exactly old at 38, but in the UFC, I think he's lost against Gustafsson, Rumble, and then of course Özdemir as well. Mm-hmm. So if he wants to be even near another title shot, I think he needs to string some quick wins together this year. And he's had some good streaks in his career, so it's not past him to say that he will get a few quick wins this year.
Sure.
I won't write Blachowicz totally out of it. But I think Manuel will dominate again with his striking and get a knockout win and get back to winning ways. And I hope so, because, it'll be good to see him get back to winning ways. So, Blachowicz hasn't been knocked 2014, I think, but I think it will happen next weekend.
Fair enough. Dom, what be yourself? Manuel versus Blachowicz, who have you got, mate?
Yeah, I've got Jimmy in this. I can see Blachowicz can be something quite static. He's a big, strong lad. He's got the takedowns, but I think on the feet he can be quite static. I think that's what I think he said. Jimmy can finish him. I think he will finish him next weekend, and probably second round. He seems like the perfect matchup for Jimmy. He just stands there quite static, and we all know how Jimmy likes to finish his fights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's playing almost into his hands, isn't it? Let's hope it goes that way. Interesting main event. It's all the experience of Fabrizio Cavallo Werdum. He's taking on Alexander Volkov, and Volkov's on a nice wee run here, 3-0 in the UFC, but can he get the job done against, like we said, the experience for Doom? Let's start with Matthew this time. Matthew, what do you reckon for the main event?
It's a decent matchup on an otherwise poor card for London, I think. Werdum is one of these crazy guys who can really throw anything at you, like that jumping head kick to Travis Brown at the start of the fight a couple of years ago.
Brilliant. Just
insane. But, he's on an okay run, but in his last 5 fights, he lost to 2 guys who I consider to be the top of the division in Miocic and Overeem. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, he's beaten lower down guys like Brown, Harris and Tibura. So Volkov is a guy on the up, undefeated in 3. I saw a crazy stat today. Actually, you say, John, that Werdum was the experienced one. But actually, he's 40 and had 31 pro fights. Volkov is only 29, but he's had more fights than Werdum at 35 fights.
Wow.
I know most of them aren't in the UFC, but still, he's had 29 wins out of those 35 fights.
Yeah.
So he's had almost as many wins as has had fights. I mean, that's
incredible.
It's insane.
That's incredible, yeah.
Absolutely crazy. So he has, I think it's like a 5-inch reach advantage, and he's like 4 inches taller than Werdum.
6'7"
so I think,
something, yeah.
Yeah, he's like crazy high. So, and he's got a big reach advantage. So I think if he keeps it standing up, he'll get the win. But if he does something stupid, like try and take Werdum down and wrestle him, who is a second-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think he's going to find out it's going to be a tough fight for him. So if it stays standing up, and you think Volkov will keep it standing up, I think he'll get the win. He's on the up, and he's still pretty young at 29, even with those crazy amount of fights. So I am going to go for the interesting prediction and say a Volkov win.
Ooh.
But, if he tries and takes Werdum down or takes it onto the ground, I think he's going to find it a very, very tough evening.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Don, how about you? Is it Werdum or is it Volkov in this one for you, mate?
Werdum's had a great run in the UFC. I've counted him out on occasion. I don't know. It was after that Overeem fight in Strikeforce years ago where he kept on going to the mat. He's come into my garden. Ever since then, he's been playing in the back of mine. I'm like, that was the guy that done that.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's got to the point where I actually like watching him fight. Like, obviously for the last few years I've enjoyed watching him fight, but like that always plays in the back of my mind. But I see if he gets this to the ground, I think Volkov's got the great frame. If he can get a hold of him, and he's got a big tall guy. He could, if he can get a trip and something, get him mat. I don't think he's going to have much trouble with him. But keeping it standing, obviously, there's the frame plays into part. You keep the distance, pick him off, but Werdum seems to kind of take these fights sometimes into the waters, and he can swarm guys and get them down to the mat. And it's just he is a big guy, and it must be really, really hard to get something like that off you when with experience and the size and stuff. So I've got Werdum winning it on the ground.
Werdum for you, mate. And finally, G, who are you picking to walk out with the victory? Is it Werdum or is it Volkov?
I'm going to go for Vaicavalo. Reasons being, I think he's very highly focused. He knows he's probably 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot, and I don't think he's taking Volkov lightly. He has said I think Volkov came to the States and trained at one of the King's MMA or one of the gyms that Werdum was at. So he's aware of he's long-limbed. He's 6, like you said, John, 6'6", 6'7". Mm-hmm. He's probably, at that weight, he's probably 250, 260. But when you're that tall, you don't really look it. Like Stefan Struve is 250 odd or 260. Yeah. And Volkov actually beat Stefan Struve. I think it was TKO in one of his 3 wins in the UFC. But I'm going to go for Werdum because of what is literally tangible for him. A couple of victories from now, and I think long as I agree with Matthew, long as he doesn't stay standing for 5 rounds, then I can see Werdum using his bulk. And also with Volkov, when you get taller guys, sometimes, unless they're very good wrestlers, their balance is not fantastic, and they can be easy to take down because you've got the center of gravity, which is higher than an average sized person. And also, if you've got a bit of bulk around your midriff, you can use that to stop and change the angle of the takedown. Mm-hmm. Whereas taller guys find it hard to lean forward and stop the takedown. So I'm going to go with Werdum, and he's one of those submission artists like Damian Maia, Jacare Souza, that, a lot of people do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but in an MMA situation, them guys are absolutely elite, and they can pull a submission out of nothing. So I'm going to go for Werdum, and hopefully he's going to have a title shot soon. Yeah,
he's definitely in and around the title picture.
Gee, you just mentioned that you think Verdum's a couple of fights off a title fight again, but Volkov is ranked 7. Do you not think if he had a win over somebody like Werdum and then went on and took somebody like, I don't know, like Reem or somebody like that, took him down as well, would you not say that is a very similar situation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, Matthew. Yeah, he's obviously had 3 straight wins, which is a great start to anyone's career in the UFC. And if he beats Werdum, you could easily call Werdum a legend. He's been probably the best heavyweights in the world. So yeah, absolutely, Matthew. He would jump. I mean, it would be a jump start to his career, and another win over someone like Bayliss or Overeem or someone like that. And yeah, he could be in the picture as well. So that's a good point. It's for both of them. It's a big win and maybe 1 fight away from another or a title shot.
Fair play, guys.
Yeah, big fight.
Let's get on to some fan questions then. Just a few this week, but remember, guys, you don't have to wait the turn. The floor is yours. We'll go to the Twitter questions first. At Elsforelf tweeted to say, victory for Werdum here does nothing in terms of a title shot, but I do think the fight to make is him and Kane in a rematch. Hashtag C-level Kane.
Did you plant that question, John?
Absolutely not.
Excellent. Kane, you sort of forget about Kane because he sort of pops in for a year, then goes away for 2 years, and Kane is obviously always in the picture because of what he's done in the past. He's been a champion, and he's one of
his own worst enemy, though. He's just so ravaged with injuries.
Exactly. So it's hard to give an opinion on Kane because you never know. But if Kane comes back and Werdum wins, that could be a rematch for the title, number 1 contender. So I would say the scenario I've got is Werdum wins, Kane comes back, they fight for the number 1 contender.
Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to see timeline. I wonder how that would work out for in terms of Kane's return.
I've just realised Kane's 35. Is like he disappears for that length of time that you don't realise he's adding on to the years. And when he comes back, you're like, oh, he's not a young guy anymore.
Yeah,
no.
And he's probably got the body of a much older man. With the punishment he puts on himself.
Yeah, definitely.
It's that double-edged sword, isn't it? It's a good thing and a bad thing. Those guys at AKA, man, they love to just push it. We'll see how far they can push it, and sometimes they just push it too far, and it ends up the body breaking down. And Kane's probably a shining example of But yeah, let's move on. We've got some questions from Facebook. John Nash has some harsh words about Darren Till not fighting on this card. He says, a real contender would take a fight on a week's notice, especially in your own backyard. This guy just doesn't want to risk losing momentum. What do you guys think?
The UFC know Till's money. They know they can get another big event in the UK with him on a high up on the cards. It's an easy sell for the UFC. It's probably simple as that.
Yeah. I think Darren Till's a main event now, isn't he? Really, especially if he's in the UK, he's got to be a main event fighter. So I reckon it's a good call. If it's a main event, yeah. If not, why bother?
Yeah, it probably is too big much of a risk.
Was he offered a fight, Darren Till?
I believe so. Yeah, I saw him get a sit down with some of the UFC media guys, and he was saying something like along the lines of, I'm trying to remember, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, the short notice was the issue. That's obviously what John's.
The timeline was weird. I think London had been announced, but then it was talk of him fight. Was it Liverpool? They're going to do an event, and they were talking about March. I'm thinking that's like
right.
or something. There was something like a month apart. I'm like, there's no way they'll do 2 UK shows a month apart. It was a weird. The way I'm like, there's something's not right here, and obviously then it turned out he might be doing London, but obviously that fell through.
I think Darren's doing a Q&A. He's a guest fighter at London, isn't he? He's got a Q&A. I'm sure.
Probably be what I saw. Yeah.
It's entertaining because he's a Scouser, and they're always entertaining, aren't they? So.
We've got a question about Paddy Pimblett. Speaking of Scousers, we'll get to that.
I think.
Oh yes.
This card, this was shouting out for a Darren Till or a Bisping fight or something along those lines. I think the Werdum, the main event that he put together is okay, and it'll be a good watch to watch on TV. But for me, being in the UK, I'm just currently outside of London. I'm staying, but I'm just not. I just didn't think it was worth the 150 quid for a ticket, But if it had a Bisping or a Darren Till fight on it, I think I probably would have gone. But so it's a shame he didn't reap up.
Yeah, Bisping's an interesting one. I mean, we had a couple of guys asking this. One that came through, Andy Robertson. Thanks for getting in touch, mate. But yeah, to your point, Matthew, he's asking why wasn't Michael Bisping on this London card, guys?
I think it was up to Bisping, wasn't it? He was calling the shots, and whether this was too soon because he had went to sleep 2 times in 3 weeks back of end of last year. But I'm looking forward to Bisping Rockhold if that happens, number 3.
That was a weird one. Like seen by Bisping's like social media presence, like 2 weeks before he said he wasn't fighting. There was like there was like no training. At least he seemed to be like, I think he visited like a military camp and he'd done this and done that. And I thought this is kind of a bit light for somebody that's meant to be training for his retirement fight. And then obviously it came out and says, "Don't buy a ticket. I'm not fighting." I'm like, I kind of thought that. Yeah.
Well, let's move on then. Oh no, sorry, carry on, Matthew. On you go, mate.
It was disappointing, really, that Bisping took that Gaston. Sorry, it was just disappointing that Bisping took that Gaston fight. He didn't really need to. I'm not sure. They obviously must have offered him some really decent money. Yeah. I think if he didn't take that fight, he probably would be fighting. He probably would have been fighting the next week if he didn't have that fight. So it's a shame. But yeah, I did see him on social media. He was saying that he was in talks, and then suddenly it was no, I'm not going. So it was disappointing, really.
Alan Cunningham asks, how long until we see Paddy Pimblett in the UFC? This card could have seen his debut. Also very disappointed until... For fuck's sake, man. A lot of people are annoyed with that until... But Paddy Pimblett, will we ever see him in the UFC, guys?
He was on the MMA Hour, wasn't he, with Ariel Helwani, and he actually said... Yeah, after his fight last weekend before, and he was on the Monday show. Mm-hmm. And he actually said he tried negotiations a couple of years ago, and something didn't happen. They didn't give him what he wanted or whatever. But he said they're talking again. So it could be sooner than we think. And he is an entertaining character, and he is a finisher. So he's definitely got a fit in the UFC.
Did he have his dream? Because remember that. Oh, on you go.
He's 23 years old, so the question saying, "Will we ever see him?" Absolutely, we absolutely.
Yeah,
we don't know, but again, even if we wait 2 years, he'll only be 25. So I think we definitely will. It's just a case of when, really.
Yeah.
Did they ever get the rematch? Remember, was it 2 fights ago in Cage Wars? It was that really a lot of people thought it was a really bad decision. I'd have to watch it again. It's been that long ago. But obviously, I think he had that was a really I was
loss.
Because I think I watched that and I was like, he didn't win that fight. There's no way he won that fight. And they was like, obviously, I need to rewatch stuff for that. But he had that time off, and then he's came back and you won by flying triangle. I mean, it's you don't go unnoticed when you win fights with flying triangle in an organisation like Cage Warriors.
It stands out a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that I still maintain that the fight to make is him and Brendan Loughnane. That's the two biggest guys in the UK that are outside the UFC. That everyone would love to see do that. It's a Manchester-Liverpool derby as well. Do you know what I mean? That would be a great fight to make.
There was two UK guys that just got offered contract for a promotion. I'm not familiar with it. It was like PFA or something like that, and it was a Brendan something. I forget the two guys, and they were offered. And I'm like, that's quite a good one, but I think it's a Washington promotion or something like that. I'm not too sure. Is it Brendan Longa? Is it Longahue?
Brendan Loughnane?
No. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. It just looks weird. But it was two British fighters were offered a contract for that promotion. I'm sure it's PFA, because I was like, I've never heard of that, and I went and looked in it. I think it may be a Washington-based promotion.
All right. Don't know, man. I need to do some research on that one, so to speak. Guys, let's take one more question, then we'll finish up with another one from Facebook. And it's Claire Abel. She asks, Conor McGregor versus GSP. The rumour is it's a catch weight at 165. Guys, is this rumour true?
Hope not.
Matthew's not in.
I don't
really
know
wouldn't
about
be
that.
interested in that at all, to be honest. I just want him to defend his belt. That's all I wanted. I just want him to defend a belt of some sort. I think it's all well and good being, the champ, but I just want him to stick to one division, get a couple of defenses under his belt, so to speak, and then move on to this new division that is rumoured or anything like that. But just get some defences first. God's sake.
It's pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really the whole Conor McGregor fight in the UFC thing is kind of getting really weird. It's like, just fight, just do your job. I mean, we know you made that much money, but although he didn't. The thing that came out says he wanted to jump in and fight recently, but they didn't offer him enough money or something like that. But I think the reason with that is you don't fling Conor McGregor in the last minute. You build a Conor McGregor fight up. You don't just go, by the way, he's fighting and it was like 2 weeks notice, a week's notice. So obviously they need time to build something up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a circus with Conor McGregor, and obviously promotion is king, but you got to keep some value to belts and weight classes and merit. Fighters getting fights on merit as well. But promotion is king, but you got to keep that in balance. So it doesn't really interest me that much. What would interest me is GSP and Nick Diaz rematch. That would be more interesting. That would be mouth-watering.
Anything with Nick Diaz interests me.
The real fight fans, yeah.
Because that's the thing with the McGregor. It's two sides. It's like one side, I love the whole McGregor show. I love the build up and the promo, but then at the same time, it's like I'm pissed off that these other fighters, their career clock's ticking. They're not making the huge money, and they're getting stopped to get the title shots because he's holding up the show. It's kind of double-sided coin, really.
I still can't believe Cain Velasquez is 35. That's still playing on my mind.
I was like, surely that guy's not. Yeah, I'm like 35.
When he makes his other comeback, he'll be 57. Yeah. When he gets injured again, he'll come back and we'll be 57.
The mummy returns. That'll be Cain Velasquez. Poor bugger. There you have it, guys. UFC London. It takes place this Saturday. And we're excited for it, and I hope you are too. At this time, let me extend my thanks to the panel here this evening. To Matthew Penny of Nature of MMA. Thank you very much for your time, mate, and let everyone know where to check out your stuff, please.
Right, cheers, John. It's been a pleasure as always. You can catch me on Twitter at MMA Nature, and also on our website, mmanature.weebly.com. We have a very big article coming out early this week, so head on over and keep an eye out for that.
Excellent stuff. Be sure to check it out, guys. Big thanks go out to G of the MMA Shower. Always a pleasure, mate. Let our listeners know where to hit you up online, mate.
Yeah, thank you, John. You can catch us on Twitter at G the MMA Shower. That's the Twitter handle. On Facebook, on the page, the MMA Shower page, you can get us on Let's Talk MMA. And once again, John, thanks for inviting me on the show.
Always a pleasure, mate. And finally to Don Wilson, Fight Talk Scotland, thanks for your time, mate, and of course let everyone know where they can follow Fight Talk Scotland and yourself online.
Well, thanks for having me, coming on, but easy enough, just Google Fight Talk Scotland and all the listens are there. Save you chasing us.
That's it. If you've liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe on iTunes. We're live every Sunday, 8:30pm UK time, talking MMA. Go to facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat Podcast. Give us a like there. Follow us on Twitter @Martial Arts Chat. Find us at Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iTunes. And you can do all of that for searching, you guessed it, Martial Arts Chat. I'm John Boy McElroy, and we'll catch you next time on The Roundtable. Engine stop running, the wheat is growing thin, a nuclear error, but I have no fear, 'cause London is drowning and I live by the river.